are the women wishing for as we mark the Golden Jubilee? The women's movement in Uganda, which dates back to the 1940s, has facilitated enormous strides in the political, economic and socio-cultural spheres for women. Previously perceived as the stay-at-home partners, women are today making a lot of progress and contribution at homestead, community as well as the national levels. In Uganda, the struggle has been to tame the male dominance and ensure equality at many levels, and currently the numbers across many sectors speak volumes about the progress of women. For instance, the numerical rise in political participation and the visibility of gender in fields such as education, agriculture, and health is attributable to the work of some individual women and women organizations. These achievements have, however, not come easily, and as Uganda celebrates its 50th independence anniversary, the country is reflecting on the contributions made by many people, and those by women simply cannot be ignored. Today, there is a lot of talk about Uganda being ready for a woman president, with many suggesting that the challenges at hand require the qualities that have been exhibited already by some women leaders. 2 women have contested for the presidency in the past, and just after the 2011 elections, opinion polls suggested that Ugandans would prefer a woman to succeed President Museveni, and already some names have been debated by the public, although nothing concrete has emerged. That aside, women still face challenges that need to be addressed to enable them to become equal partners and members of the general society. So as we prepare to commemorate the Golden Jubilee, we ask, 50 years down the road, has the Ugandan woman really been liberated? Also, considering the contributions women have made over the years, should we consider women for the first office? Our guests tonight, Hon Rosemary Nyakikongoro, Sheema District Woman MP, also Vice Chairperson of the Uganda Women Parliamentarians Association, UWOPA. You're most welcome, Honorable Nyakikongoro.
Thank you, and good evening, listeners.
We're also joined by Ms. Rita Aciro, Executive Director of UWOPA, that's the Uganda Women's Network. You're most welcome, Rita.
Thank you, and good evening, our listeners.
We're also joined by Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party. You're most welcome, Mr. Vincent Mayanja.
Thank you, Edmond, and good evening, viewers and listeners.
Viewers, because we are also on the internet. We are also joined by Honorable Stephen Birahwa, Member of Parliament for Buliisa County, also Chairman of the National Committee of the National Committee. You're most welcome, Honorable Birahwa.
Thanks, Edmond, and good evening, Radio 1 viewers and listeners. We know we have to adjust today. I hope the TV is in your fingers.
Madam Rita Aciro, is Uganda ready for a woman president?
Edmond, that is a question that shouldn't even be debated, given the fact that we are 52% of this population. That means in the 52% there is a woman who can lead this country, and there is no doubt about that, given the leadership that women have demonstrated in the different spheres that we're seeing right now.
And what are some of the contributions made by women over the Uganda's historical span?
The contribution that women have made in this country is enormous, but unfortunately some of the contribution is not quantified or has not been deliberately quantifiable, and the women have struggled from the 1930s, the 1940s, the 60s and up to the current times. We know that this country sits on the back of women on a daily basis. The women in this country feed this country. They contribute to the GDP of this country in terms of participating in the agricultural sector. We know that the women are the ones who labor, who cater for children, for families, and all these contributions are not quantified in terms of economic terms. And therefore, many times we do not see physically the contribution women have made. But the fact is that women are the major contributors to development in Uganda and in the world at large.
Honorable Nyakikongoro, what is your own profile of the Ugandan woman over the years?
Yeah, for me, I believe that actually the Ugandan woman has come from very far, and I believe that where the woman has reached, as you were saying, if it was like who is supposed to actually succeed President Museveni, a woman would be in the process. And we should prepare the women actually to do that. Because when you look at service delivery, Edmond, you look at how women have been participating even in political offices, civil offices, in the communities, in trade. Women have been very, very active, and they are very faithful. When it comes to doing work, they do it diligently. No wonder that's why we don't have many incidents of corruption among the women leaders. And for me, that means that when a woman takes up an office, she does her work diligently and she's ready to serve the country. Women actually are like service deliverers, and that's why you find that we are passionate about doing the best work, and therefore we can serve our people very well. And when you look in the area of trade, by the way, we have a challenge, like Rita was saying, that it's not easy to quantify women's contribution towards that GDP. For instance, recently I was asking people that, we have very women in the informal sector. These are the women who are highly taxed locally, and they contribute to local development. But when it comes to, what women contributed to this, no one will tell you that they have really contributed. Because look at trade. We are just here on Rumu Street. How many women are in business? Go to Owino. How many women are in that business? And by the way, they are taxed. So to me, I believe that women have done a lot in terms of development, and it's high time the country began to realize their effort in terms of developing the country, and look at what should be done to the women so that they can also be uplifted from where they are. I'm saying that because we still have many women in that informal sector and they are not recognized. They are not given the opportunity to do their business very well. There are still challenges of taxing them indirectly, highly by the way, and they don't know it. And for me, this is the time that we should reward the women of Uganda by recognizing them towards what they're doing for this country.
And of course, there's a stereotype. You ask a man, how was it? He says, I was very busy at the office. You ask a woman, he says, well, how did it go for you today? He says, I did not work today. I only went to the garden, and then I went to the well, and then I cooked some food, so I really didn't work.
In fact, when you ask a woman that, what do you do? She will tell you that I don't do anything. And when you ask her that, what time do you wake up? She will tell you I wake up at around 5. Then what?
Go to the well.
Exactly.
Cook the food. Train the children.
Edmond, I think the point there is the definition of work. Work. What do people define work to be?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Of course, it's a lot to say. But let's hear from Mr. Vincent Mayanja, a veteran journalist, now a politician in the Democratic Party, Secretary General of that party. Is Uganda ready for a woman president?
Well, I'm not one of those who think that they are the only people with a vision. I think we have seen a number of women who have performed beyond even our expectations. We already have a Ugandan woman at the International Court of Justice. We have a woman as the Speaker of the Ugandan Parliament, and I think she's doing a good job.
The East African Parliament?
We have a woman as the Speaker of the East African Parliament, and I think she will perform. Therefore, I'm not one of those who think that a woman cannot be a president. I think what we require in this country are rules and procedures, and if you have those, the best people really to draft into it are women, because they fall each and every detail to the latter. And secondly, what has really befallen this country is the failure in leadership, where the leaders think that they are the omega and alpha of everything, where the leaders think that they can say that somebody dies and the other one survive. And I think as mothers, they all have another heart. They will not, I think, wish to see a country where they have children being disrupted and things like that. The other thing, I think the contribution of women is not really well documented in this country. The lady here has already said that women are the workforce in agriculture. In fact, I know they have they contribute 70% of the workforce in the agriculture sector. And we believe that the economy of Uganda is the population of Uganda, or the agriculture in Uganda, employs about 80% of our population. So you can see that the backbone of this country is agriculture. And who are the main players there?
The women.
The women. But are they given the are their contribution really being recognized as such? I think that is going to be the debate. And if we debate that, then we are going to find out what should be done. Where should we invest? In fact, the other day I was wondering, when Parliament was debating the budget, whether they should contribute more money to the health sector or not. And I said, do these people know what it means to have a health population? And when I talk about health population, I'm talking about women out there who are the caregivers in our homes, who are the breadwinners in our families, who are educating children. And whenever you invest in the social sector, you are helping this woman. And I think women will do better in doing all that, because they know that this is where the problem is, this is where we need to invest. I tend to believe that a woman will do better as a president.
Honorable Stephen Birahwa, he was the chairman of the National Committee on the Economy, and some people have spoken about gender-based budgeting as the best way to budget. Women handle money better, they have a better feeling for both men and women. They just don't look at themselves. Do you think we should have more women leaders in top positions?
First of all, I'm a male member of UWOPA in Parliament, among the few.
Applause.
As a son, a husband, a father, and a brother. That's the spirit in which I look at it, and I think it's long overdue for women to claim their full status. It's not even a privilege for us to be debating should women take the mantle of this country. It's long overdue, and we have made strides as a country when it comes to women emancipation, given the background of a patriarchal male chauvinism, which used really not to expect the vulnerable, landless, but yet feeding us. Women in our society weren't allowed to own land then, but yet they have been feeding not only Uganda, but largely Africa and the world. So it's important that we look at that perspective. There's no doubt that parents who have educated girls have a better safety net than those who educate boys. There's no doubt about that. I'm a stakeholder in education system.
The girls come back home?
They are more caring. There's no doubt about that. And as a stakeholder in education system, I can tell you, most of parenting these children who are now who belong to boarding schools, we see mothers. We see mothers on visitation. We see mothers for balance of school fees. So even the education success in the 50 years of independence, women take the credit. So women are so caring. I even think the almost 40 years we've lost out of 50 in conflicts, if we had women leadership, I don't think they would be shooting like that, against Ugandans, It's men, we have the animal in us, and I think at times we are reckless. So I think we need to see more women more in the front. My concern, however, the numbers of women representation in district councils, the affirmative action, the empowerment has not been translated to the real women programs, the real budgeting as I would want to see it. It's good. It's a good beginning to have a woman vice president, our ever tough speaker. We now are there at Yala. That's a good sign. It gives confidence to the young ones, because women is a role. But we haven't done the best. I would want us as UWOPA, I would want everybody in the women cause to make sure that we translate the numbers. We translate the beyond representation. Can we push for real program? Because why should the pro-women, why should we still be laboring to explain the gender mainstreaming to date when we have women at the forefront? So to me that's a big challenge, and after these 50 years let us see more. And on land reform, I am for very radical land reform, because one of the biggest mistakes in our constitution, and the president did mention, actually I thought the first constitutional amendment in this country was going to be on land, that we did not address the land matter correctly. There are still imbalances. It is those women who earn highly who can access land. some customary land is sympathetic to women as users, but not as owners. So it's really a challenge, and we need to look in that direction if women are going to fully play their role in an optimal way, in a more with better leverage and all the support they deserve.
Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. Uganda at 50. Are Ugandan women free, considering the protracted women emancipation battles? Also, what kind of Uganda are the women wishing for as we mark the Golden Jubilee? Our guests, Honorable Stephen Birahwa, MP Buliisa County, also Chairman of the Committee of the National Economy, Madam Rita Aciro, Executive Director of UWOPA, that's the Uganda Women's Network, Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party, and Honorable Rosemary Nyakikongoro, Sheema District Woman MP, also Vice Chairperson of the Uganda Women Parliamentarians Association. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Rita, can you give us a profile? Can you give us some leading women in business, industry, politics over the years, the women movement? How old is it? And some of the women who have led in different sectors.
Edmond, women have led, as the different speakers have said. And this can be traced back to the 40s, 60s, and up to the time now. Women have led in politics, women have led in organizing, and today we had a very, very big national women's launch at Hotel Africana. You should have seen the women who were there, the Rhoda Kalemas, the Joyce Mpangas, these women who struggled in the 60s, the women who struggled in the 50s, the women who struggled in the 70s, and contributed to the struggles that we still continue with today. Women organized themselves right from the 1914s. We're celebrating 50 years today, this week as Uganda, but the women's movement has been in existence for over 100 years. Women organized under the Women Catholics Women's Guild, women organized under Mothers Union, YWCA, that was organizing for women. And for us, we want to take pride in those women who organized then to show that, whatever we have is not given to us on a silver platter. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes we are making now in our generation. We are over grateful.
Yes, you said thank you too many times.
We said thank you. We think it's a privilege. It's an entitlement. This is our space. We are equal partners in it, and nobody's giving us anything on a silver platter. And our generation needs to understand that the women who were there before us, the Rhoda Kalemas who tried to get marriage laws in the 1940s, in the 50s, and in the 60s, the Joyce Mpangas, you had women who mobilized in very difficult and chauvinist patriarchal society, but they tried to mobilize. So women in business, we have a number of them right now. And
Mamambire.
The Mamambires, of course, but I mean, you talk about Mamambire here. My aunties, my cousins in the villages.
Also dried cassavas in the markets.
They are struggling, as Honorable has said. We are feeding this country. We are sleeping under the beds in the hospitals. This is labor that is not quantified. And the contribution women are making. We've talked about HIV/AIDS in this country, I think, for the last almost 30 years. Who are the caretakers? Nobody. It's the women. So I think we need to start, and that's why.
And can I add, in most cases, women have been on the receiving side of HIV.
Exactly. Yeah.
Most women, it has found them at home.
At home, yeah. And that's why, Edmond, we decided to probably, just to use the word, to take advantage of the 50 years. We said we've come this far. The country is celebrating 50 years, but we've been in organizing as women in the last 100 years. What has gone wrong? What has gone right? And what do we plan to do as we move forward? And how do we hand over the baton? Because one of the challenges we've had is the burnout in the women's movement. Some of these women have worked so hard, and at times, because you don't see people appreciate your work, you get a burnout. And because you've gotten that burnout, at times even handling the baton to the next generation becomes a challenge. And as we gather in Africana for the next 3 days, we want to strategize to see how do we revive this women's movement to ensure that we meet the current changing dynamics. The politics is changing, While we talk about patriarchy, it is no longer about patriarchy only. It's about the dynamics in politics. It's about the dynamics in society. It's about globalization, and that is affecting our organizing. So we need to rethink how we can sustain our struggles.
Hon Nyakikongoro, what do you think hinders further progress? Do we see this glass ceiling, so-called glass ceiling, invisible barriers in the workplace, in politics? We can talk about the two presidential candidates the females have had, the women we've had, they would not made it. Yeah, can you put it all together for us?
There are still many challenges as far as women participation in politics, economics, and even other areas. Honorable Mukachitale said that, it has been long for women to come up and take up the mantle. But and he also commented that, we are not translating the numbers into, especially women members of parliament, into the local councillors, into what we are supposed to be doing. But I want to tell you that we are still surrounded by the cultural and socialization process issues. First of all, I want to tell you that even us as women, there are those who are still custodians of culture. Those women who still believe that it's a man who is supposed to be a president. Those women who think that in order to take up leadership in this area, particularly political leadership, it has to be a man. For instance, if it was not for this affirmative action by the way in our constitution, we would be still struggling. We would be seeing very few numbers. You can look at those women, I want to salute them, who come out and struggle with men. They have tried, but even the number has dropped during this seat. It has dropped. What does this mean? The constituency seats. People, including women, they will tell you, no, don't stand on that seat. Yeah. This is for men. It's as if it is a reserve for men. And therefore, to come up as a woman, really to stand in that position of a president, you have to struggle. They ask you so many questions. Even as, you come up to stand up as a woman MP, there are several questions they ask you. Are you married? Are you married in our area? Do you have a husband? Do you work with a husband? Those are some of the challenges which are not asked to that gentleman. Right. The gentleman will come, even if he has several women, by the way, they will not ask him. And those are the challenges that now surround women.
And briefly, how do we overcome? How do we override them?
It is about telling people, and also seeing that women can perform. They have seen the performance of women. We've talked about these successful women. Nyakikongoro is here in the radio, speaking.
Very eloquent.
Championing issues of health. She can perform. We have seen the Ritas. Yes. We've seen the Kajinas of these days. Musisi, without forgetting her, they have performed. We shouldn't look at
the woman called Earthquake.
Exactly. We shouldn't look at a person simply because of the gender, but we should look at a woman in terms of performance. Is she performing or is she non-performer? We've seen men who have failed to perform, by the way.
Actually, Rosemary, when you ask somebody what are the good qualities of a leader, you don't first say these are the qualities of a good leader who is a woman. Yes. You just look for the good qualities of a woman.
Tell us the unique leadership qualities of a woman very briefly in half a minute.
Pardon?
The unique leadership qualities for a woman, leadership qualities, the things that come naturally to a woman. Talk to us about those.
The things that come naturally to a woman, and I think Vincent talked about it. We feel it. We know the issues. Because we live it, we understand these issues. It's instinct. Talk about health. A woman will not even debate allocating resources to the health sector because she lives that. It's a daily life. We are patient people. We I think Honorable Stephen here talked about it. We are not selfish. Women are not selfish. We do not think about ourselves, but we think about ourselves.
You empathize.
We empathize with others. And the other thing about women, we listen. As mothers, you have 10 children and they're all yelling in the house. You can't take a decision. You listen to all of them. All right. And you can't blame any of them until
you've had all the sides.
Yeah. So those are some of the qualities that women have. But having said that,
briefly,
it does not mean women have lesser qualities than men.
This is Spectrum. Already want to go for a break. We'll be back to stay tuned.
The Woolworths Quality Sale is now on. Get up to 40% off selected fashion clothing at Woolworths Metroplex Mall, Northern Bypass, Nalia, and Garden City Shopping Centre, Lower Kololo. But hurry, or you'll miss out. Woolworths, the difference.
Climb the hills of Chipsy. celebrate 50 special years, Nile Special invites you to toast to our great land. Nile Special, the rich, rewarding taste from the source. You've earned it.
When I sip from the Nile.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
It's ShopRite's incredibly big birthday, where we're offering you more low-price deals than ever before. Celebrate our birthday with the lowest prices, like a 1.5-liter bottle of Coke, Coke Zero, Sprite or Fanta at 2,850 shillings only. 5 kilograms of Chirimba Tilda rice at 18,500 shillings only. 415-gram can of Hayes baked beans in tomato sauce at 3,200 shillings only. Our incredibly big birthday means you get more low-price deals than ever before. Offers valid until 7th October 2012. ShopRite. Lower prices you can trust always.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. Uganda at 50. Are Ugandan women free, considering the protracted women emancipation battles? Also, what kind of Uganda are the women wishing for as we mark the Golden Jubilee? Our guests tonight, Hon Rosemary Nyakikongoro, Sheema District Woman MP, also Vice Chairperson of UWOPA, that's the Uganda Women Parliamentarians Association. Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the DP, the Democratic Party. Ms. Rita Aciro, Executive Director of the Uganda Women's Network, and Honorable Stephen Muktale Birahwa, MP, Buliisa County, also Chairman of the Committee on the National Economy. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. I'll read out the numbers when that time comes. Vincent Mayanja, where is most opposition for women to rise? Is it in the cabinet, parliament, the workplace, political parties? Where do we see most opposition to women rising?
No, I think it's all about policy. Where do we invest most? And I think there is a problem with the women activists. They have tended to believe that the current government own them, and they don't want to do anything outside what they say. For me, I think they should remain clear-headed, pursue what they believe is right, and then go for whatever they want. Then secondly, the women activists should really press so much to see to it that areas that will emancipate women, empower women more, are put on agenda. For example, we have said that agriculture is where most women are, but are we really investing there? We need to invest in agriculture if we want to get to the women. Then on education, I really applaud the government that they started this. I think the 1.5,
the affirmative action, 1.5
affirmative action
for entry to the university.
That's very good, because if we have more women educated, then you have more people educated. Because an educated woman will do, her contribution is going to be far, really, in society. So I feel that women activists like Rita and the parliamentarian Rosemary need to focus on those areas: education, agriculture, health. Right. And if you do that, then you are going to have you are going to have the women going up.
You have a higher multiplier effect because women are more involved in those sectors. Yes. Honorable Birahwa, before we come to you, Rita, Honorable Birahwa, where do you think women have made the greatest strides? I'd like you to give us a synopsis of that as well. Where do you think women have made most contribution? Is it to the civil society? Is it simply visible there? Health, education? Some people say women abuse power when they get it. Talk to us about that.
I had earlier talked about the women, the landless, feeding the world, not only Uganda. I talked about the women role in education, but also I must also say the biggest incidence of dropout and non-completion also goes to women. If you check the dropouts with very good efforts of government in UP and USA, still you find the incidence of dropout is higher with a girl child, because when a mother is sick, it's the girl who has to look after them, and even when money is lacking for other requirements, the boy goes first and the girl comes last. These challenges are still there in our role. But I wanted to raise the issue that if the women activists knew their rights and knew of their entitlements, and worked together with the youth, because they have the numbers, they would be commanding everything in Uganda. Unfortunately, most forces use women numbers and use numbers for their own interests. And I want to put this across the board. I am NRM. DP should not deny. All whoever UPC did that, they have used NUSU, they have used, so it's a practice, they are used. And I raised this one time when I had women begging, we have less RDCs, we have less appointments. I said, why are you begging for appointments? Why don't you take the mantle? And then women start begging, we start begging to be appointed by you. But unfortunately, we have this PhD.
What is that PhD you're talking about?
Pull her down. In most cases, when women are rising, it's fellow women who are fighting them. And against, because of that patriarchal division, the moment a woman is rising, they don't want to believe she's doing it in her own merit. They want to accuse her to have used some other approaches to rise, and nobody sees a woman rising in her own right. And on merit, meritocracy, competitive meritocracy is rarely given to a woman. Whenever a woman is a rising star, people think it's an exchange of something, think it's a favor from somebody. That is a very big disease which we must fight to make sure that women can progress in their own right. But also, there is a concern that you raised earlier. Why do we think women are about empathy? It's a woman, by God's creation. A woman is peculiar, is unique. She's the one who can conceive and wait for 9 months.
And then give birth.
And go through the labor pain. Men don't have that patience. So it creates a natural heart of care. Apart from these Kampala women, some stories I've heard where we now live, but in where we come from, women cooked for the children and visitors and remained and waited to eat what will come later.
If there's something left.
Of course, I'm saying Kampala because Kampala is
a little bit different.
But where we come from,
they fry the eggs.
Those women provided for us, provided for uncles and visitors, and she still goes back to the kitchen to look for. So that kind of care, that kind of parental heart is what makes a woman special. And but I think also the success of women in faith-based efforts, as we earlier mentioned, the Mothers Union and what, I think government has tried so much to have political gender mainstreaming program without using networks which are faith-based and cultural based. If you worked with cultural and faith-based synergies, networks, because they are very strong and they have a very strong following, you can actually achieve much more gender mainstreaming. You can deliver empowerment programs much more. A Mothers Union circle is more transparent than LOC circle. There's no doubt about that. So that's an area where we need to put more effort. When the Navagereka talks about Kisagati, it's a powerful forum. So we need to look at how much more can we relate between the central government resources and these faith-based and cultural institutions which have a natural following and a good network, and they are rooted. Because if you go into some of these programs like Christian CCF program, they are more successful than the programs of NADS where government comes money and political supervision. So we need to look also in the delivery mechanism of some of these programs.
Rita, could you talk to us about some of those issues? Some people think he mentioned the PhDs. Women pull their fellow women down. Also, women, sometimes they abuse power. Is that true? Is there empirical evidence to confirm that?
That's not true. And the reason why I say that's not true, Edmond, it is, one, I want our listeners and our viewers to understand that men, girls and boys, men and women are brought up in a society. They are brought up under the same household. Therefore, their socialization is the same. So the way my brother thinks is the way I will think, depending on what type of household we've grown up in. So if that household has instilled in us that me as a girl child, I'm lesser of a human being to my brother, then I will definitely think that about Rosemary because she's a woman like me. So I think the issue of over blaming women or pulling what you call the PhD, pull her down syndrome, that is something that has been overemphasized and used against women. It is our society, and we need to change. As parents, we need to show our children, boys and girls, that they are the same. And once that's done, you'll even see the boys and the men, women and girls supporting each other and even supporting women more.
All right. I would like you later to talk to us about how the women group you come from, UNET, which is the network for women. You'll talk to us later about how you're marking the Golden Jubilee. But before we do that, Hon Rosemary Nyakikongoro, talk to us about the next 50 years. What would you want to see in the next 50 years from the vantage point of being a woman?
Of course, in the next 50 years, we would like to see a woman who is liberated from, still carrying firewood on the head. We want to see a woman who is completely educated. We would like to see a woman who goes to the health center and finds a doctor there, finds a nurse there, and delivers from a very clean environment. We would like to see a woman who starts primary one and continues until she finishes university. We would like to see a woman who goes and gets employment without, being interviewed in that kind of carpet interviews. We want to see a woman who can stand up and be recognized in the community without necessarily looking at that woman as a sexual object. We would like to see a woman who can easily access clean water. We want to see a woman who can live a healthy environment in the next 50 years. That's what we want to reward the women of Uganda. We've been talking about women not working, but if much as they are not working, we know they are in agriculture, they are caring, they are doing. How can we reward them as a nation? So, in other words, we want to reward them by giving them good services, clean environment, clean water, health facilities, education. We want to see women we don't want to see more women dying because they are delivering.
16 women die.
We want that one to reduce. So we want to say a woman who is no longer being battered or beaten. We have seen cases of domestic violence on the increase. Even as we talk right now, women have been,
is that men who never went to school, or is it across the board? When they go to school, they stop doing those things.
But can I interject there? These days, there are also women battering men. So that's what. Very many men are suffering quietly.
By some well-fed women. Let's look at the preponderance. Most women.
And definitely want to see women, taking up these higher offices, aspiring to become presidents.
Commander-in-chief.
We've seen presidents becoming, in other countries where women are commander-in-chiefs and they are doing it very well.
Germany.
So, exactly.
Angela Merkel.
So that's where we want to see ourselves.
Well, listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. You can call in now. Our number is 0414 348 111. 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. The lines are being worked on right now. You will be able to call in a short while. Rita, talk to us a little bit about what we expect to see over the Golden Jubilee plans from the Women's Network. What activities are you working on?
Edmond, ours is not just an activity, and it's not just an event that we want to have. We are starting a process of revival. As we all said that we've been too complacent of late, and we want to think that whatever we have right now has been given to us. And as Honorable Stephen said, we want to ask, can you please, we are very few here and we are few there. We need to demand for that. So what we are starting today in what we call the Women's Week is to reflect, review and revive the women's movement. We want to take center stage in decision making. We want to be recognized as a force to reckon with. As I said earlier on, we are 52% of this population, and there is no way, whether it is UPC, DP, NRM or any institution, that can ignore women. And as again Honorable Stephen said, the numbers of women have been used by all these different institutions for their own benefit. And after that, we say thank you very much for the crumbs the crumbs that have been given us, that have dropped from the table. So we are here to say that we want to revive the women's movement, and we want to make a statement that we are here and we are present.
This is Spectrum. You can call it now. Our number 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. The week before we hear from Vincent.
Yeah, this week we've decided to come together as women across sectors from all districts. Today we were in Hotel Africana having the national launch. We had over 1,000 women coming from the 100.
Hotel Africana.
Yeah, from the 100.
Let's hear from. All right, go on.
How many are the districts now? 112 districts. But the main purpose is for us to connect as women, to identify our challenges, to move forward in the next 50 years. We've done that. Yesterday we were in the Cancer Institute. We wanted to identify with
in Mulago
to identify with the patients there. We supported them with a few things. We went to northern Uganda to support the children.
Let's hear from that. Yes, Spectrum.
Edmond.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name?
Yeah, Jim is the name. I want to thank the ladies in the studio. I want to appreciate the role of ladies and mummies and mothers in the last 2 years. It's because we don't report any monetary value on their services. But every woman would think that it is this regime that has brought them out of the kitchen, which apparently cannot be so. Because at the testimony of the ladies, you saw that they had struggles before. They only have to have understanding partners. But I want to say one thing, that Uganda is very right for a mother leader not continuing to have rulers.
All right. I request that we maintain civility as we speak on this and any other topics on this show. Vincent, how sensitive to women leadership is the Democratic Party? You come from right at the top.
Oh, of course we are, and we have a program over that, and I hope we can have another program here for the Democratic Party to put across its program.
You'll pay for that.
But of course we have it. But I wanted really to contribute.
Okay, let's hear from another caller. Spectrum, hello.
Yes, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, my friend. Your name, sir? Your name, sir?
My name is Dr.
Yes, dear.
I do believe that they are right that we have seen the integrity of women in the shifted portions of responsibility, and I must support them in their struggle. We really need women leadership to continue because they have at least shown their integrity is undisputed compared to the men who have messed up with their integrity. I thank you.
All right, Spectrum, hello.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Kizito.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
I'm currently going from Uganda.
Yes, I am.
I want to salute the guests. I want to salute my fellow countrymen for having who are ready to complete the 50 years. But the most challenge is going to the elite, but to the politicians, scientists, that you are the people who have the right, you want leaders for another 50 years. So I just want to request them that we should forget our differences and push our country. Thank you.
Well, thank you too for that positive contribution. Spectrum, hello. Our final caller.
You got me up there?
Yeah, we prefer that you speak with civility, Mr. Jimmy, so to speak. If you hire an elected president, let's call him an elected president, not other words. Spectrum, okay, let's get back to the studio. Mr. Vincent Mayanja, you're speaking to us about political parties. Okay, let's take our final caller right now. Spectrum, hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, madam. Your name?
My name is Belinda.
Belinda, yes.
Yeah, listening to the discussion this evening just reminded me of a quote by South African lady politician whose name seems to have escaped from my mind. But she said that unless women stand for the same beliefs, their election to positions of power are not necessarily victories for other women. Yeah. So what I would wish to see is for all women to have the same vision for all other women. That's how we'll benefit everyone in this country. Thank you.
I think the lady you talk about was Helen Zille from South Africa. Vincent Mayanja, talk to us about political parties. Are they being sensitive with the case study of the Democratic Party?
No. We believe that you do not need to use handouts and things like that to women. You just need to empower them. And for us, we look at 50 years to come as a period for equal opportunities, equal entitlements, equal everything between men and women. And that is what is going to improve the empowerment of women. I don't want to see a situation where women take over the position of men currently, that the woman is now the oppressor, the woman is now the oppressor, and the man is the oppressed, as we see today.
Carrying the baby on the back and mopping the floor.
Yeah, I don't think that is the woman going to be
wearing trousers.
What we want to see is that a country, and Honorable Rosemary has just said it, that a country where we invest more in the issues that concern women being afforded education, reproductive health is being addressed, because that's where the problem is. Nutrition is being addressed. But all those are the things that need to be focused upon, and that's what we believe in. But this issue of having women as an item here that is going to be used to achieve something, I think is not going to help.
All right.
And I really appeal to activists like Rita to try to see that these are the issues for the next 50 years, not these others. I think they have made the point. They have made the point that we can be equal partners in developing this country.
Equal partners. You're talking about equity, basically.
Yes. Therefore, that has been done. What we need to do now are these other things.
All right. Honorable Birahwa, I'd like you to talk to us, but before we do talk to us, I'd like you to talk to us later about the 50 years, your aspirations, the next 50 years. But before you do that, Rita, talk to us about other countries. How do we compare with other countries? Rwanda is ahead of us, higher percentage of women in parliament and other places. And Paul Kagame said he prefers to be succeeded by a woman.
That's great. And we admire Paul Kagame and what he's done for the women in Rwanda and what the women in Rwanda have done for themselves. But as we said earlier on, the numbers really need to translate to the majority of the women. You know, at times we blow this trumpet too much and you forget the majority of the women at the grassroots. So is that translating to the empowerment of the women? I'm not saying that in Rwanda probably the women at the grassroots are not empowered and are not taking leadership, but we need to think a little bit more deeper, that the numbers need to translate into the empowerment and liberation of the women flock in totality. And for me, that is my vision. If that happens, I don't care whether we have only 20 women in parliament, but if women
the women issues.
Yes, if the women issues, like the two gentlemen in this studio, honestly, this evening, I am so happy we have gentlemen like this who can argue. Just one Rosemary would be enough in parliament because she has two men who support the issues. So it's not about the numbers. Numbers, yes. I think we're struggling for numbers because it's a fight. We constantly have to prove ourselves beyond reasonable doubt. But if both men and women can appreciate the issue, it becomes a national issue. It's no longer a women's issue, but a national issue. Talk about health. It's not about my health. It's about if Rita is healthy, Rosemary is healthy, that means they all have healthy children. They will be able to go to work and they'll be able to contribute to this country. So let's look at the issue of women as a national issue and not just as a women's issue. You asked me a question, Edmond, comparing Uganda to other countries. You know, whenever we travel, you say you're from Uganda. Wow, Uganda, you have 35% of women in parliament, and we are high up there. And you know, you at times you feel proud that yes, we do have those women. But when I go to my village, when I go to the communities doing community work, I do not see that. I do not see the 103 in parliament being translated. I do not see the 40, the 50% of the women in council being translated at the community level. The decisions that are being made in parliament, the decisions that are being made in council, it does not show the numbers that we have in these parliaments and councils. So until as Vincent said, until we start looking at issues of health, issues of education, agriculture, and not agriculture of digging with the hoe.
Yeah.
You know, at times when I look at these women, I always say, oh, thank God I am not digging with the hoe, because it's so labor
You can have a
intensive.
handheld tractor. It costs 3 million shillings.
Yeah, it's so labor intensive. If we can liberate these women from digging with the hoe, empowering them with technology, giving them
a handheld. Someone told me the other day, a handheld will cost 3 million shillings. It can work the it can do an acre in one day. So a village can own a handheld hoe.
And what will that woman do for her family?
A powered hoe.
She could even have a Mabati house within 2 years in her house, living a decent life. So the issue of health is pathetic. I told you yesterday we were in the Cancer Institute. You know, we went there, but when we got there, we couldn't even talk. That's how bad it is.
I've been to that ward looking at some of the situations they have there. Honorable Birahwa, talk to us about your own aspirations over the next 50 years. Yeah, a purposeful statement. It's not about numbers. It's about sensitivity. Go on, sir.
Translating representation and numbers into actual programs, into budgets for the majority women folk. And by the way, I'm happy about the paradigm shift. When this is the struggle in the old years, it was looked as if it was a bit adversarial, as if it was confrontation, as if it was anti-men, as if it was urban against rural, as if it was pro-divorce, and that's one of the reasons why the bill has suffered so many years. But there has been a paradigm shift.
The domestic relations.
They need to understand that gender is not about women. It's about it's how we relate, both male and female, and that's why you see now the bill took the shape of a family bill, as opposed to the earlier confrontation approach. So that's very. But the best way to liberate my daughter, my wife, my mother,
your sister,
and my sister is education. Skilling, and not just UP and USE. Skills. If a woman has skills, she has a job, she will own her. Beyond this favor of a marital land and property, to get her own money, have these skills, and be able to. By the way, do you not up now we are still calling a woman MP, women MP?
We have to go.
I would want to see women taking over constituencies, because I don't believe in a big parliament. I would want to see more women.
Our time is up. You mentioned education. The education minister is a woman, the health minister is a woman, not to mention other full cabinet
but
ministers.
the struggle is because we haven't arrived.
One word, madam, before we go.
Yeah, I think we all need to know that the question we should ask ourselves is, are Ugandan women still relevant? Do we need women, or do we support women's issues in this world? And we must prioritize for what women need, and specifically also to look at ourselves as Ugandans, as nationalists. The rest will come on board.
We have to go. Thank you very much, dear guest. Honorable Rosemary Nyakikongoro, Sheema District Woman MP, also Vice Chairperson of UWOPA, that's Uganda Women Parliamentarians Association. Thank you for coming tonight, ma'am. Miss Rita, Aciro, Executive Director, Uganda Women's Network. Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy SGO Secretary General of the Democratic Party. Honorable Stephen Birahwa, MP Buliisa County, also Chairman of the Committee on the National Economy. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. She's the Spectrum. We'll be back on Monday.